Hello and welcome to the Aniview interviews. I'm Lizel, and today I'm here with Professor Otaku. So, can you introduce yourself a bit?
Hi, I'm Professor Otaku. I'm the leader of the D2 Brigade and all-around nice guy, kind of.
Awesome. Awesome. So this is going to be a bit informal. I didn't put too much effort into this, but yeah, what, yeah, just I'll explain a little bit about our past. So you are, would you call yourself the leader of the D2 Brigade, or the person that at least brought everyone
I
together?
am leader. That's the position everybody else has said, hey, you should be the leader. I'm the guy who wrangled up all the reviewers. I got the podcast started and going. Um, I, you know, get on people's asses when their, videos are running late, which doesn't happen often, but it happens often enough. I'm the guy who organizes the convention. You know,
Yeah, so you're the
uh, the buck
supreme
stops here.
commander, supreme commander of
I am.
operations.
Ah,
I'm sure that's what you get them to call you.
or,
So, yeah, first question here. If you had to pick a favorite series or a series that you just would say really defines your taste, what would it be?
God. Either Buso Rankin, Super Gals, or Gundam Wing, probably.
Hmm.
I know that sounds weird. It's a very eclectic thing. And everybody is always like, "You like Buso Rankin? What's wrong with you?" And it's just like, well, I don't really have time to sit down and watch a, 300 episode shonen series, so I just watch that instead.
Yeah, so you watch
Uh,
the shorter shonen idea?
yeah, based. It just seems to me like all the shonen goodness that I want with none of the crap.
Yeah,
Um, uh, and that's kind of my MO. It's like, if you're going to tell a story, tell the story, get it over and done with. Make me care about the characters, and don't drag on the fight scenes for 50 episodes.
yeah, that
It,
makes some sense. But they need to make their monies. But no, Booster Rankin. I actually haven't seen this show, but I know Leon reviewed it, and his one of his big things was that supposedly the ending they really like cop out on the sort of final climactic fight scene, and so that's what his big annoyance was with it.
yeah, and that's a problem both of the manga being written, because it's extremely faithful to the manga,
Mm.
and the manga basically it got its 2 week notice. And I mean they still made it into an anime, but it was like, yeah, we're not gonna continue this on. And so uh, the original ending is kind of anticlimactic, as far as the big fight scene. Uh, and so that translates over into a kind of anticlimactic anime ending too. But at the same point, I think it works because it's more about what's going on behind the scenes than just, hey, I'm going to kick the crap out of you. Spoilers on the moon.
Wow, that sounds like shonen. Uh,
Yep.
so for Booster Rankin or any of the other ones you mentioned, would you say from like a reviewer's standpoint that's like one of the most excellent series you've seen, or do you have like do you have a pinnacle of excellence for like a series? Like I
Well, I can't go out there and say this is the best anime series ever
no.
or anything, but there are very specific elements that I look for
Hmm.
when I want to say that this show is good or not. Um, and when I say, when I give these favorite shows, it's the shows that I take the most personal pleasure in watching,
Definitely, yeah.
uh, and whether or not that doesn't always sync up with how how good the anime is in and of itself.
Hmm.
Um, the plot needs to be coherent. You know, don't it can't run off on tangents with characters that I don't give a flying squirt about. Uh,
I feel like you're
you
really
know,
attacking the other shonens out there.
oh well, I mean, I have these very set rules for, okay, what do I think makes a show good, and I've noticed that a lot of those things don't show up very often in other shonen shows.
Yeah.
Bleach is beautifully animated. I like it well enough. I read the manga, but you cannot you could put a gun to my head and I probably wouldn't sit down and watch it. Um, yeah, I just think it kind of
So you
drags.
haven't watched any of Bleach?
I mean, I watched the first 3 episodes and
Hmm.
I've caught episodes here and there on TV, but I've never been able to say, you know what, I want to sit down and watch it.
Interesting.
Other than leak spinning.
Well, Bleach for me, I don't know. I think it's at 200 and something. Oh God, fanboys are gonna be like raging. But for Bleach, because it has episode 60 something where it ends the Soul Society arc, and I think up to that point, it was actually a pretty good for a shonen, pretty good point.
Mhm.
And if I had just stopped at that point, I probably would have really liked the series. Unfortunately, I went on with it, and there's filler everywhere, like true filler, and then after that, just stuff that they stretched like Dragon Ball Z style stretching on, and I
Yeah.
was just like, oh God, no.
Yeah, and that's a definite problem I think that they have. Naruto, which
Hmm.
I reviewed with Arc a little while
Yep,
ago, much to fanboy rage. I think that has almost the most comments we've ever gotten on anything.
it is a
And I got
fairly
called an
popular
elite
show.
like over it. Um, but Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball Z, not exactly plot heavy. The original focus of the story was lost. If they would have ended Bleach after the Soul Society arc, you could have called it good. You would have you would have gone out with a bang and been like, oh, okay, that was awesome. But now they're just kind of getting a little ass pulley here.
Yeah. Oh, but I mean,
Um,
what
happens
about?
when
Sorry.
oh yeah,
What? Okay, but my last little shonen thing. What about series like Soul Eater or what's another one? Lavuaki that are like 50 episodes. Is 50 episodes like within your range of okayness?
yeah, that's fine. I mean, I can sit down and watch a Gundam series. That's
Oh yeah,
usually
Gundam Wing is 50 something, I think.
or 49 episodes plus three OVAs or the movie.
Hmm.
Uh, do what you will with that. And that even that has some parts where it kind of drags and loses a little bit of coherence, and
Hmm.
their budget is going through the middle of the series pretty badly. But um, 52 episodes, not a bad run for a series. I think that's about as long as you can keep the story coherent without going off on a wild tangent.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
yeah, I think the record sort of like for longest that really has coherence. I haven't seen Legend of the Galactic Heroes, which probably would beat this, but Monster is probably the one I that comes to mind. 70 something episodes and pretty much no filler. So
yeah.
I probably should get on to question number two, actually move this along. Um, so from a reviewer standpoint, what makes anime for you? Why would you pick that as like a medium you'd like to review? I mean, probably just because you're a fan, but like what really intrigues you about anime and what makes it different than like why watch it over like American television or just film or books in general?
Well, I don't really, I mean, I read and I write a lot, but I don't really have time to sit down and watch like 8 or 12 seasons. The thing about anime is it's short and it's sweet, uh, for the most part,
Yeah.
unless you're doing big series, in which case you're out shit out of luck. But, um, I could sit down and watch a season of, Heroes or Lost, and I still wouldn't get the whole story.
Yeah.
American television goes way too long. Uh, Movies are very, have a tendency to be cliche.
Hmm.
You can kind of, if you just sit down and like, yeah, I'm going to review action movies, pretty soon you're just going to be like, yes, it's the same god dang story we've seen 10 or 12 times already.
Yeah.
With anime, there's always something fresh and different. And I mean, it's so overarching. Like, you could watch, you know, you could watch Welcome to the NHK one week, and then you could watch Outlaw Star the next week, and you could bounce around from genre to genre to genre without much in the way of overlap.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, obviously, if you entirely, you're going to get a lot of overlap just because genre conventions are what they are. Um, but anime is different. It has a very distinctive feel. There's a lot of certain things you can pull out of it, but um, I think the biggest reason is that it ends uh, for
I
the most
can
part.
I can agree with
Uh,
that.